Hi everyone, welcome back to another tutorial as part of the Iris Bootcamp 2022. I am Parth Mittal and in this tutorial we'll be having a look at REST APIs. So to quickly get an overview of what we'll be learning about what is an API, what is meant by the RESTful architecture, what are HTTP verbs, and along with this I'll also give you a demo on an actual API towards the end. Alright, so let's start. An API. An API stands for an application programming interface. Simply put, it is a messenger that takes data from one place to another. Or you can also say that it's a way for two computers to talk to each other using code. It takes in a request from a client and returns a response in a specific format. Let's try to understand this with an example. A simple analogy would be you sitting at a restaurant. There's the menu with a list of options and there's the kitchen. But what's missing is the waiter or the API. The waiter acts as a messenger and takes a request, which could be something like, "Can you give me a burger?" Takes in your request, tells the server, or in this case the kitchen, and then delivers the burger or the response back to you. In the programming world, this would be something like asking for Google Maps to give you some results based on your request. Now, having understood APIs, let's have a look at what is REST. REST is a set of rules or architectural style that guide the building of APIs. It is an acronym for Representational State Transfer. When we say something is RESTful, it means that it follows the REST paradigm. Most APIs in the world follow the REST architecture. So to summarize, REST are simply rules, or it's just a style that define how APIs can be built. A RESTful API organizes server objects, which is basically the data on the server, as resources into a bunch of unique URIs that differentiate different types of resources on a server. Now, a URI is a uniform resource identifier. It would be something like, this is the network location and this is the resource. Now, another thing to note is that REST is just an architectural style, which means it can be followed by any programming language. We'll be looking at some example at the end, so things will become even more clear, right? Now, I've said earlier that an API takes in a request and returns the response from the server. Now I'll add another thing in this, that this request is made using some rules which is known as HTTP. Now you would say that API is a messenger, right? What is HTTP doing here? Now API is basically like a command or a software which one can execute by some defined protocols. HTTP is one such protocol. So if you look in our analogy, the waiter is the API, but to call him, we need to use some set of rules, maybe something like a specific signal. Usually, APIs are created in applications, and such applications are hosted on some server. Now to call those APIs, one needs to use, this is the API. So one needs to use the HTTP protocol over the network. I mentioned earlier that a request follows a specific format. Let's have a look at what this format looks like. So the header of our request has the URI and an HTTP verb which signals our intent with the data at the server. Now what are some HTTP verbs? So a GET request means that you simply want to get data from the server. A POST request means that you want to create some object at the server, like a new order. A patch or a put request means that you would like to update an existing object, and delete, as the name suggests, deletes an object. Create, read, update, and delete or destroy. Or simply as an acronym, CRUD operations are basically the main functions that we perform with any resource. There are some other methods as well which you can explore yourself. Now, since we have understood these, we'll be having a look at an actual API so that things become crystal clear. So for the purpose of this tutorial, I've created a demo API that allows you to create, read, update and delete tasks. So it's basically a task tracker. Now let's mess around with this. This particular thing tells me how you can mess around with my API. It tells you can get all the tasks, you can create a new task, get a particular task, you can create a new task or update an existing task, or you can delete it. So let's first start by getting to know all the tasks. Alright, so if you notice, this is the header of my request. It says go to tasks. This is the URI. It says make a get request. So all these are the HTTP verbs that we just learned. You can change them and they will behave accordingly. Get request, send it, voila, it sends me all the tasks that are there. Now since we've got all the tasks, let's also try to create a new task. So I'm going to make a post request on this URI, and it's important to know what kind of what needs to be the data of my task. So simply going to understand, we are going to what is this raw, what is this JSON, all this we can explore on later, but that's not the agenda of this particular tutorial. So I'm going to say let's create a new task. It's now been completed, send it, and just say yes, it's been created. Let's have a look at our tasks. Yay, there's a task, and let's try to delete this particular task as well. So now I'm going to make a delete request, and which task do I want to delete? I want to delete the 15th task. Since we created 16. Okay, so let's delete the 16th request, send it. Oh, item successfully deleted. Let's check it once. Yeah, it's not there on the task list. As part of the last part, let's also update an existing task. So I'm going to make a put request, and then let's say that what should I update? Let's have a look at this. So I've made the PPT, so I'm going to mark it as true. So let's say update this particular thing, the body, JSON. So JSON is just the format, body is the body of our request. This part is the header, this is the body of our request. So let's say ID I don't have to specify again. The title was make PPT, so I say make PPT done. You can say it's been marked true, and it's a put request. Yes, send it. Okay, let's have a look. Send it. So yes, it's been marked true. That is it. We had a look at what are APIs, what are RESTful APIs, what are HTTP verbs. We also explored it. That's it. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.